2,000-year era of a global economic justice, a 2,000-year era of global Black African economic ascendancy, the era of the biblical third horseman, the era of Shango, the Yoruba Orisha of justice, the age of Aquarius. But how are we to know? This documentary sets out to use both global ancient and contemporary knowledge system to truly decipher human history, present and future.
Knowledge is power. To control political systems, the world, people have continued to manipulate or distort knowledge. They hold on to facts. And this has caused a problem, especially for those who are being controlled, especially the black race. The black race is the most deprived, the most socially oppressed. And the problem really has been where they get their knowledge, religion and academia.
Government over time across the world, not just limited to a particular continent or country, have always found it convenient to control information, to ensure that it's only those things they want the people to know that they know. And that has been responsible for the ideological struggle that we've witnessed over a period of time. Precisely since the advent of socialist-oriented governments, these have been exposed more. And that's why Karl Marx, in one of his writings, said the ruling ideas in any society are the ideas of the ruling class.
Western academia seems to protect or wants to prove Abrahamist theories of evolution and the world. They have constantly tried to prevent the general knowledge that evolution, the point of evolution, not only of humanity but civilization, was in southern Nigeria. In a recent study, the DNA study of over 1,000 groups across the world, the governments of England and America made it specific that they should not release what is the oldest DNA. But at the end of that project, they collected 100 DNA samples from Ibadan, Yoruba land. I have written, and there have been people who questioned arrested knowledge, because it's a cultural injustice to black people. Our blood is God's logbook. We all need to know the history in it, what has happened. And this is just not for academic purposes. Throughout Africa, you have problems of tribalism and wars because we don't know. The true history prevents us to know that there are only two groups across Africa. There are original African groups and there are Afro-Asiatic groups. The original African groups include the Yorubas, the Igbos, all the way down to South Africa, the Ngunis, Zulus, down to the west, the Akan. They all come from one family. It's one mother language that spread all through Africa. Then the second group is the Afro-Asians. They were original Africans, but when the Arabs and later the Hebrews and came in, they changed the language, they lost the culture. The Afro-Asians are mainly the Hausas, the Fulanis, the Amhara, who are mixed with Greek in Ethiopia.
66 million years ago, a meteorite crashed into Earth, killing dinosaurs and most life, fastening the breakup of the supercontinent, Pangaea. The new formation of continent with the Atlantic Ocean flowing between Africa and Europe on one side and the Americas on the other, resulted in a new wind system that dumped the heaviest rains on the West African sub-region, making it the most fertile area for evolution. With River Niger, Benue, Kaduna, Sokoto, and many others emptying their waters ultimately in the southern Nigeria, creating the largest continent mangrove and freshwater swamps where man evolved. In a study of 3,945 DNA samples differentiated with 1,327 genotype markers, 14 probable ancestral clusters were created. A close analysis shows that the DNA values fell as you moved away from Yoruba land in the southern Nigeria. However, 14 ancestral clusters were too high, and some of the classification distorted the results. The Niger-Congo group was distorted with the inclusion of Odofenian group, while too many hunter groups wrongly skewed the conclusion towards Namibia, Angola, San homeland of pygmies. Over millions of years, various humanoid species had spread from Africa across the world, as different new species set out to colonize the world, replacing previous migrants from DNA evidence. The modern man evolved around 120,000 years ago as pygmies in southern Nigeria rainforests, the yam belt. Surviving by picking wild yams, the hunter-gatherers led human dispersal across Africa and Eurasia through the Ethiopia land bridge. Due to the Indonesian super eruption around 75,000 years ago that blocked sun rays and killed previous migrants around 60,000 years ago. The full-statured human evolved from pygmies, and new migrants set out once again to colonize the world through Ethiopia into Arabia, in what is known as the Great Coastal Migration, as Africans spread to create Sunna, Elam, Indus Valley civilization, and southern China civilization.
And a major problem, a major flaw of academia, of Western academia, is its linear approach to knowledge. In the previous system, black original African knowledge systems, they were dual. Many people say if mathematics was taught with its practice, it would have been easier. Like, for example, geometry. We know that from ancient mathematics, the best way to understand your geometry is through hairstyles. Trigonometry, if we knew the relationship between planets, the energies that they share, it would have been much, much easier to understand trigonometry. History. People say history repeats itself, but unfortunately, the history we learn is linear. It doesn't show the cycle, so you can't really learn from it. And it's been a problem.
The system on which Western culture is based is binary opposition. I could remember as recently as 2002, Kainissi said there's no basis for morality, because if I'm a materialist, I and I, they are not related. Everybody is an individual. But the binary nature, axiom of the Yoruba is that A and opposite of A must be together. It means everything must have two sides. The two sides is why I think that I'm related to you. I cannot live alone. It is more fundamental to that. Go and ask those people who do. I'm not a computer scientist. Computer science is based on binary complementarity. There must be one which is two. It's not just one. That is, those of you who know computer. The computer system is based on binary complementarity. It is not just one. Positive and negative are together. So the Yoruba people invented the computer science. The 256 points is in Ifa. That is what you are using on computer. The computer people know it. That our system of calculating is not literal, it's not linear, it's binary.
Now, those in the academy, as well as those in the industry, as well as in the cities, the town and gown, must begin to come together, especially to look at indigenous knowledge systems more closely and more creatively. As you would know, a professor of computer science had looked at the numerology in Ifa and classified them and found that these are just multiples of 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on and so forth. And that it was possible to link the numerology in Ifa to the computer and that it was possible, if we got a handle on our civilization, it was possible for us to take a leap from this numerology, basic numerology, to the discoveries of science and technology. And it is also true that there are knowledge systems in the IFA corpus which will help us as a guiding light to find our ways from the thickets of our history, as it were. I do believe that not enough study had been done of IFA, and I know that from time to time we have bursts of enthusiasm of people who want to take over the study of IFA, who would like to take over the analysis of IFA, quite apart from the consultations that IFA priests and so on as a form of religion or mythology, which itself has its own benefit. But I hope that we can scientifically study IFA and make sense of it and link it to our history and our civilization, especially in regard to modernity and the postmodern.
You may call them stupid, yes. For the white man who says matter and non-matter are not together, anybody who says they are together is stupid. But what I've discovered is that the white man is more stupid. It is the man who says they are not separable that is white, because that is their position today. Scientists in the West today does not say matter and non-matter are separate. No. What the scientists have discovered is that matter and non-matter are inseparable. That's what the Yoruba position. We are the one who is teaching them the latest development in science today. Go to science and ask what is science. Traditionally, science means everything is material. Today, science means matter and non-matter as inseparable. That's the Yoruba position. So apart from it, we were ahead of them in thinking. They come to disrupt us, to forget the complementarity of matter and non-matter, because we have discovered that even scientifically it is not possible. There's nothing that is purely material. There's nothing that is purely non-material.
One of the first platforms of knowledge has been religion. For a long time, all the knowledge we had of our history, the present and future, has been through the Bible or through religion generally. But the Bible is the most popular book of religion. And I'll say the best important chapter in the Bible is Revelations 4-6. In it, we have what the circle of humanity, the horsemen, and how our history, the present and future. Unfortunately, this has been distorted, or we don't know the meaning.
Revelation chapter 6, verse 2-6. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Verse 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. Verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balance in his hands. Verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
Research shows that human history and global consciousness is tied to the sun's orbit, which is called the circle of precision. Ancient binary knowledge shows Just as the Earth revolves around the Sun in 365 days, the Sun and the solar system revolves around the universe in 26,000 years. Conventionally, when you observe the evening stars, you will notice that they revolve around the North Pole of the sky. Because of a slow wobble in the rotation of the Earth, the position of the North Pole is not fixed. Like a spinning top, the pole moves. It travels in a slow circle around a still point over 26,000 years, or 1 degree every 72 years. The 26,000-year precession cycle, like the clock or calendar, is divided into 12 2,000-year eras, known as the Great Year, Yuga in Hinduism, Uba or Iba in Yoruba. 2,000-year eras whose global consciousness is represented with Orisha traits.
The biblical apocalypse horsemen are 2,000-year era that shaped the world as we know it and to come, but are neither the beginning or the end of human history. The first horseman with a composite bow depicts from around 2000 BC to 0 BC, when Caucasians spread from the Andronovum complex in southern Russia, Central Asia to take over and destroy black empires in the ancient Egypt. Soon, Indus Valley civilization to South China. The second horseman with a longsword depicts from 0 BC to 2000 AD, when religion, tribalism, racism, and other latter-day dogma was used to control humans and their resources. The long sword is the Roman Catholic Sparta and the Islamic Scimitar. The third horseman, with scales of justice, depicts 2000 AD to 4000 AD, when humanity veered towards global economic justice and global black economic ascendancy. However, knowledge being power, this is kept secret, as it would show Christ and Muhammad as the second horseman, while it will empower blacks with a vision of utopia that will challenge global power structure. It is obvious that the church's interpretation is neither articulate or inspiring. They fail to give an understanding of the trends in humanity or better understanding of the past as a predictive tool. Then again, the scriptures in Revelation chapter 5 verse 3 states that only one soul would open the seals to this information. So we turn to the Western academia for guidance. But apart from Western academia treating history as a linear function instead of cyclical, it has proven to be racist and diversionary by obscuring true black history. Original Africans devised the first knowledge database wrongly equated as a religion, known as the African Information Retrieval System, IFA, IHA, AFA. Is based on a binary system divided into 16 divisions that would be further divided. Despite the later language divergence accentuated by foreign colonists in their ploy to divide and rule, African language and culture are basically the same, based on naturalist laws.
Now, we make a mistake that if I just divination, no. When you go to a diviner, he will read some text to you. Where are the texts? What does he say? And luckily, I have some books where people like Ekpega, Bascom, they have recorded what the Yoruba people said. As a philosopher about what people say, not what they do. So when I discovered that Ifa contains so many things, similar to or different from, then I started studying Ifa text literature. And I discovered that some of the things in Ifa are superior to what I was taught about the West. And there's evidence that the Yoruba people did not copy it from the West. I'm not an historian, but I know it predated Western philosophy, because Western philosophy started with Socrates. Ifa was already in existence. So my research area is what did the Yoruba people say? Luckily, it is documented that Yoruba have 256 books it's a system. 16 basic, then when you combine them, you get to 56. And each one has documentary verses. So what I did was to look for these documents, study them, and see whether they have anything philosophical, anything scientific, anything moral, which I was taught in school. And I discovered that the documentation of Yoruba intellectual culture, what they think, that is the job of a philosopher. So, and all I was taught as philosophy in the West, I found them better ones in IFA. So it is established that IFA is an intellectual culture. IFA is philosophy. Because philosophy is about reality, about the nature of knowledge, about argument, about logic. Everything is in IFA. So today, I can say with evidence that African philosophy, different from Western philosophy, not copied from Western, which was established even before Socrates started his own. So when they call me professor of African philosophy, not theory, I have evidence to show this, what did you say in your country, what did we say, I will look at it, either it is as good or even better.
This is Akure's Palace, the oldest surviving palace in Black Africa, dated to around 1100 AD. This is the Nkule ceremony, the yearly homage of chiefs to the Deji of Akure, the paramount king of Akure land. The age of Olokun has shrouded Black history, especially that of Yorubas, the oldest and largest original African group. Akure's Palace is the oldest relic of the Oduduwa dynasty, but the people have a glorious past that extends over 10,000 years ago. This is supported by the archaeological discovery in 1965 of Oluwole Isharon in Akure land, dated to 10,000 BC. It is believed that the Olokun era started in Benin around 1 AD and probably spread to Ife around 1000 AD. True Oduduwa. It also spread to Igbo land through Chima of Orisha, but the Igbo republicanism rejected the feudal system.
The Edo Kingdom welcomed Europeans
in 1470s, correctly identifying them as agents of Olokun. They gave them land to build churches for the worship of Olokun. However, the Olokun Oduduwa dynasty has witnessed Yorubas become the most enslaved group in human history. Their knowledge base mystified and their history lost in the ocean beds of Olokun. Just before colonial independence, Obafemi Awolowo, with the help of Oni of Ife, Obadesoji Aderemi, Yoruba spiritual leadership at the peak of Olokun dynasty, wrestled power from Oyo and Benin, the territorial kingdoms, for Yoruba leadership. Soon afterwards, the archetypical modern Olokun warrior emerged in the form of General Obasanjo, backed by European Olokun supremacy, based on the global Ogun military foundations that had enslaved and continued to exploit the black race. Akure, meaning broken chain, resonates with the broken chain of original African culture. It is the intellectual center of Yoruba land and must rise to present workable solutions to Yorubas, Nigerians, and the black race as a whole.
This cultural platform was spread to ancient Egypt, Ethiopia, and all the way to South Asia. In the southern Nigeria, forests loosely connected city-states evolved around Eden across the Niger to Igbo land, with Edo Empire the greatest influence. In the northern grassland was the Nok. It was unwritten but properly encoded in the African Information Retrieval System, which Europeans were to later transcribe into modern religion and astrology. Those that invaded South Asia transcribed it into the Rig Veda script that formed the foundation of Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism. Those that invaded Egypt transcribed it to form Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. 2,000-year eras of Orishas. Orunmila, 10,000 to 8,000 BC, beginning of human civilization. Jemaja, Beginning of lunar calendar, female systems, matriarchy. Issue 6000 to 4000 BC. Information system like IFA, writing and establishment of trade routes from Africa to the Far East. Oshun 4000 to 2000 BC, creation of wealth, network of international black trading posts, Egypt, Ethiopia to Sumna, Elam, Indus Valley and South China civilization, building of monuments like pyramids. Ogun 2000 to 4 AD, light-skinned humans spread from Central Asia bearing composite bows and arrows to destroy or take over black Eurasian trading empires of Sumna, Elam, Indus Valley civilization, and ancient Egypt. Olokun 4 AD to 2000 AD, introduction of religious dogma, capitalist racist dogma, propaganda to control scarce resources. Shango 2000 AD to 4000 AD, global economic justice and enlightenment.
The word Orisha is so controversial for me. Most writers on Yoruba culture, Orisha is a god or goddess that descended from heaven. I don't see the evidence in Ifa. I have a particular verse from Ifa which says that most Orishas are human beings. They will tell you the name of the father and mother of Orunmila. They will tell you the name of the father and mother of Orunmila. To them, these people, if you use the word Orisha, it means I want you Orisha. Those people have been destined to add prosperity to the society. Like the Catholic, it's when you die they call you a saint. You are a human being. You are not from heaven. It is because you have done so much that the society is better. Then we appreciate you. I'm not saying the idea of descending is not there, but the evidence in Ifa is, Orunmila himself said, every one of us is a human being who has contributed to the development of the society. Ogun brought iron, Shango brought electricity, all those things. That's another concept. But if we are speaking Yoruba, I would say the word Orisha, we can break it as Orisha. How can you do that in English? The word in English is God, small. Ọlọ́run kékeré, I've never seen it in Yoruba literature. I read Ifa, I didn't see the idea of Ọlọ́run kékeré. I don't know. Olódùmarè Orisha, that's what they say. That is a small God. I'm not saying it is not possible, I've not seen it. You may call him Lord, not Ọlọ́run in the sense of descending from heaven. Important people. As far as I'm concerned, Layiwola was a saint, is an Orisha. Jesus Christ is an Orisha. Muhammad is an Orisha because of what he brought into society. But even Jesus Christ, did he descend from heaven? He was born by Mary. You are still calling him Lord. Did he descend from heaven? No. Although we didn't talk of his father, I don't want to go to that. But we know that Mary was pregnant for 9 months. We know he was born like a human being. You are still calling him Lord. So if you call Yoruba Orisha Lord, it's not because they were not born by anybody, that they jumped from the sky. I think we need to learn our language, to study our language, to study Yoruba ideas and try to understand what the people are saying.
The 2000-year eras can be broken into 8 cycles of 250 years of global structural change of Oya, the Orisha of change. The seeds of the theme of the next age is usually planted in the last 250 years of the preceding age. The theme of the age of Shango, the incoming age of global economic justice and enlightenment. 2000 AD to 4000 AD started 250 years ago with the late 1700s American, French, Asian revolutions. The theme of the age of Olokun, 4 AD to 2000 AD, the outgoing age of religious dogma and capitalist propaganda, started with the globalization of Jewish scriptures in Egypt around 250 BC. The theme of the Age of Ogun, the spread of violent weaponized Caucasian, started around 2250 BC with the destruction of Elam and Sumna.
Black people, original Africans, they set up these civilizations in Sumna, in the IVC, Indus Valley Civilization, Harappan, and all through to the Yangtze in China. Until what we have, the first horseman, when those who had migrated earlier now came down from the central mountains of Asia to overwhelm the black civilizations, peaceful civilizations. Those first horsemen around 2000 BC, because the original Africans had set up a civilization from 10,000 BC, gradually. But when it came to 2000 BC, the white races came with their bows and arrows, the composite bows and arrows. They were known as the first horsemen. And they ran through all the black empires, destroying them, all up until, for 2,000 years, all up until they got to what we now call 0 BC, where we now had the second horseman.
Second horseman, Age of Olokun. The second horseman, the era of Olokun, the era of mystery, of the ocean of religion and propaganda, is depicted with long sword, used to subject man and environment with religion, dogma, and propaganda. With the fall of ancient Egypt to the Greeks around 332 BC, the Jews, one of the first groups of the first horsemen, were to convert their Hebrew scriptures written while enslaved in Babylon, Sumer, into Greek in Alexandria, the intellectual center. The spread of the religious dogma south to Ethiopia led to the Greeks' colonization of Ethiopia through their brainwashed kings without war. The Romans that took over after the Greeks adopted the Jewish intellectual platform as Christianity. While using the long sword instead of the composite bows and arrows, the Roman Catholic longsword is known as the spatha and was used in the Caucasian takeover of Western Europe inhabited by black Africans. Islamic scimitar and Afro-Asiatic takeover of African Sahel. The mixed races created by the first horseman, the Arabs, realized that their Caucasian forebears had departed from brutal war and created religion to take over and control resources. Therefore, in response, they adopted the Abrahamic creed in form of Islam and made God in their own image in order to justify their war for resources. The Arabs were to use their own longsword, the curved scimitar, to take over this African Sahel and desert and into southwest Europe up to Paris.
The Europeans actually used the region for exploitative reasons to justify and promote the slave trade, although it harbored the seeds of its own contradictions within it. It was the same Christianity that helped in the abolition of slavery. But don't forget, the missionaries came first, were the people that prepared the ground even for the slave traders. So there is no doubt about that. That has been proven to be historically correct, that religion was used to facilitate the process of enslavement of the people of Africa, for example. But we have now realized that religion, as Karl Marx said, is the opium of the people. It was used for that purpose of promoting enslavement, encouraging those who are enslaved to accept their lot as God's will.
Oya's 250-year cycle of change in structure explains history better. Within the 2,000-year ages are 8 cycles of 250 years of change along the lines of the specific age. The age of the second horseman started with the rise of the Roman Empire and the birth of Jesus Christ and Christianity. The next 250-year cycle brought the Nicene Creed and the writing of the Bible. The third cycle, around 500 AD, led to the consolidation of the Roman Empire. The fourth 250 cycle around 720 AD saw the rise and spread of Islam across Sahel Africa into southwest Europe. The 5th cycle saw the conflict between Islamic and Christian worlds spread. The 6th 250-year cycle around 1270 AD saw the introduction of guns, the reversal of Islamic domination by Europeans, who rolled back the domination to Morocco and proceeded towards Lower Niger, the Negro heartland. The 7th 250 cycle, around 1520 AD, saw the breakup of Christianity caused by Pope Alexander VI signing off of West Africa and South America in the June 7, 1494 Treaty of Tordesillas to Portugal and Spain, the key powers in the Holy Roman Empire. Britain and France had to develop their own tools of cultural imperialism, religion to become great with their economic imperialism. It was also the 7th cycle that the Nupe Islamists attacked Oyo Yoruba frontier empire as African Muslims sought to take the Black Heartland economy from Europeans that had taken the West African coast. Africans were recruited into the 2nd Horsemen cycle to carry out slave raids, not through developing another Abrahamist sect, but through the ignorance of tribalism. The Alada, meaning swordsmen in Yoruba, were to capture the highest number of slaves, earning the Yoruba coast the title the Slave Coast. The 8th and the last 250-year cycle around 1770 AD saw the creation of USA as an independent nation-state and global power due to European Americans that wanted their freedom from Europe and their own cultural imperialism to further their economic imperialism. However, as stated, the last cycle always breeds the roots of the next era. To this cycle brought about democracy and quest for economic justice. The current cycle has started in 2007 as brought Obama, Confab report, Brexit, the era of the 3rd horseman, Shango. The age of the 3rd horseman, Shango, depicted by scales of justice on a black horse that brings global economic justice and enlightenment, started around 1999, but its true essence will be felt from 2023 when Oya, the Orisha of change, meets Shango. Oya last met Shango around 1780, leading to the USA. French and Asian Revolution for social economic justice, when the essence of the next 2,000-year era was sold. The Asian Revolution inspired the global fight against slavery and freedom, though compromised by Olokun's deception. Nigeria and China are two nations whose astrological totems are scales, having been created on October 1st, the liberal month of the scales and equality, and are expected to carry the torch of global economic justice. From 2007 to 2023, Oya is realigning Babawale global structure towards global economic justice. Initially, in the first half, the Oloko global powers tried to fake the change through propaganda and dogma. The enthronement of Obama to fool African Americans and the world that USA was devoid of racist capitalism and now a land of equality, as well as Hillary Clinton to give an image of gender equality. In Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan was to fool the Niger Deltans and the southern Nigerians, while Buhari was to fool the northerners and moralists. However, the Olokun's deceptions will fail and the people will rise in their call for true economic justice.